Hey, if you've ever tried to hook up a satellite system or a communication system at your off-grid cabin, you know it's going to be a power hog. So I picked up this Starlink Mini, and I think this is going to be a game changer. We're going to try hardwiring this right into our cabin and run some tests on it and see if it's going to solve all our problems.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get to work.
Okay, so I've been fighting for quite a while out at our cabin here to get a good communication system so that I can actually remotely monitor our solar system that's through Schneider. I have been able to make it work fairly well using a cellular router and a cell booster. I had to put a big tower up in behind the property in order to get a good signal to come in. Power draw is pretty reasonable, only an amp or two. The problem is that weather and wind really affect that tower in the position that we're at our cabin, so the reliability of it is a little bit less than I'm hoping for. Now, I've looked at hooking into other satellite systems and Starlink systems, and if you know the Starlink systems for the full kit, the draw is quite large, up from 160 watts to 200 watts at 120 volts. So I picked up this Starlink Mini, and what we're hoping that's going to happen is that I'm going to wire this directly into our power battery bank. I have a 24 volt lithium system in here. Power consumption on the Mini is approximately 15 to 22 watts when it's running. So on a 24 volt system, that is coming in at like under an amp for most of the time, most of the running time. Problems I'm going to have is that keeping the snow off of this. So we're going to try and hook this up into this decking area up here to see if we can make it actually get a good enough service in here with still getting some protection from the snow for the rest of the year. Summer obviously doesn't matter, but I want to have a permanent system and hookup. Let's get up there and see what we can figure out. All right, so here's for a quick reference of what we're going to need for this build. So this is the Starlink Mini kit. I've already opened it, but inside we've got the Mini antenna itself. We've got the 50-foot cord with the 2 barrel jacks on the end. We have the AC adapter, which we're going to temporarily use just for some testing, and then we're going to eventually connect it back in. 2-inch pipe connector that comes with the kit. I've got an old stand here from a previous antenna that I used to use for cellular, and then I've got barrel jack adapters to plug this directly into our battery system and how we're going to wire it up. And then of course you're going to need your requisite cup of coffee. Okay, so this is the upper deck system in my cabin. It's already got this protection up here that you can see off the gutters. I'm going to see if it's possible to get that antenna bolted onto here somewhere so that it's more or less protected here for 80%, and then we're going to see what kind of signal we can get from Starlink from it and see if it's actually going to be doable, or do we have to swing it out here and get a full view of the sky. So they say you need a view of the sky, but people run these on their dash of their vehicle and a bunch of other things and still get pretty good service. So I think that's going to work, but let's test it out and see what happens. So for the temporary setup, as far as the wiring is concerned anyways, so it looks like I've got the dish right under. So if you look, I've got from the very top, I probably got 100%, or very close to it, coverage on the top without a clear view to the sky, but that dish does angle out, and this is south facing. And from what I understand, south facing is one of the better ways to go with the dish. Just because of up here in Canada, we're up in the upper hemisphere there, up near the 54th parallel, so facing a little bit south is always going to be better most of the time for it. So we will now just give this baby a plug in and we'll do a test and see what kind of speeds we can get out of this thing. Alright, so it's up online. It's showing a ping success of 98.7 with a latency of 25. Let's run a speed test, see what we're getting. So I'm getting almost 200, so 188 megs download speed, just in this position, not seeing the sky. So that's pretty good, I think. So it seems to vary a little bit between 100 and 200. We'll see if it levels out a little bit. I'll do some more testing later, but still really good as far as you get up to 300 megs per second with the roaming, which is what this is currently on. I'm looking at shifting it over to the residential plan. On the residential plan, it's 100 megs per second maximum anyways, and you get unlimited data. On roaming, you get higher speeds of 300 megs per second, but you only get 100 gigabytes of data for usage. So, bit of a trade-off there. If this thing can mount permanently in the system here, I think that 100 megs per second is more than fine. It's way more than I'm getting right now off my cellular, which is approximately like 5 megs per second. We'll do a little bit more testing on some speeds later, and I'll let you know how that goes. But now we got to find a way to wire it in. All right, so I've been testing over the last hour, doing intermittent speed tests. What I found was when the system was up on here, I think there's still a little bit too much obstruction. I would get 250 megs per second, and then 10 minutes later, I would get 25 megs per second. So obviously the moving satellites aren't catching enough. So I tried lowering it down, lowering it flat. The flattest actually worked the best sitting on here, but I'm worried about snow load sitting on top of that, so I'm looking at long term. So what I've tried to do is I've added a little makeshift other style of bracket here that I'm going to use, and with some PVC piping, it seems to hold it. So now I'm getting consistently maybe over 120, 150 megs per second. I'll do some more testings and see how that works out. If I'm happy with the end result of having it in one position for the year, that's the best. So I'm trying to get a position that I don't have to worry about throughout the year. So this is one, hopefully, if I can mount it here, and it's partially covered here at the back. We'll give that some more testing, but I think I'm pretty happy with this kind of a setup, and I'll mount this here to the deck so it's not going to be able to go anywhere, and then we'll get back to the wiring this unit into hardwired indoor system. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick little rundown of what I've currently got set up here for my communication system for my solar, my cellular, and my cellular router, etc. So you can understand what's happening here. And then I'm going to show you where I want to connect the Starlink system into the whole network. And then we're going to go from there and we'll see how things work out. Okay, so for a quick tour, this is my Schneider comm box and my Schneider gateway. They both do the same thing essentially, except they, as far as reporting to the cloud and as far as being able to see what the system is doing. Difference with the gateway is that it's a two-way communication, is that I can actually make changes remotely to my solar system through here. So what the main system that comes in is, this is the main system that comes in from my outside tower. And now this goes into a cellular booster. This cellular booster increases my signal, comes here, splits it. The splits go two ways. One way is the white cable goes out and into my living room of the cabin to an internal antenna, just to run the cellular booster so you have cell service inside the cabin. The second is this black wire. The black wire comes all the way back here. This is my in-hand IR300 cellular router. So inside here I've got a SIM card that connects through the cellular network, creates a Wi-Fi, and creates a onboard network for the entire cabin. So you can see that my gateway here plugs into here, as well as my comm box plugs into here with network cables. From here I've got a external antenna that goes up to a Wi-Fi antenna for the cabin, so you have a very limited amount of Wi-Fi through that cellular network. And then two things happen here those are the main systems, but the two things that happen after this is for the power. So my main power comes in here, and this is from my main 24-volt solar battery bank that's underneath the cabin. It comes all the way up to here and branches off to here. This gives me two circuits, or up to four. One of the circuits goes here and powers this. This will run at 24 volts. The second one goes through here to a buck converter, converting it down from 24 volts down to 5, and then this supplies power to the cell booster. This is designed to run off of 5 volts, so as long as I can taper it down, this will run properly. This can run at 24, so it doesn't have to be buck converted. I've got 2 extra ports on here that I'm going to be using for the Starlink. So this is the female end of the barrel connector. Pretty simple, positive and negative. This is going to be positive, this is going to be negative. So I'm going to wire this in here in some way that's clean and not going to give me any power problems. And I'm going to put in here a 10 amp fuse, which should be more than adequate for the Starlink. Now we have everything reconnected. So what I did was, as you can see in the video there, is I added a negative bus bar for the negative side of the terminals that are coming in so that I can still use the fuse box there for all the positive leads. And we've got 27 volts because we've got some nice solar going on outside right now with some sun. And I just booted everything back up and all the cellular etc. seems to be running fine. So now we're going to try connecting the Starlink into that barrel connector and see what we get. Okay, so we're going to now power it directly off the DC. We'll see how the system boots up and we'll take some tests from there. So what I learned so far was that I tried to angle this at a couple different angles, see if that made any difference. So far here I'm getting 99% latency, or 99% on the ping, so that's pretty good. For speed test was sitting over 200, so still working pretty good here, and it's still partially covered by the deck. What I found was when I had it on top of here, that put it that much higher, which then blocked that much more of the satellites coming in from here. I feel that kind of down here is going to get a little bit more retrieval from the satellites, a little less obstruction. And so we'll see how that's going to play out, but that seems to be one of the spots I'm liking for now. And as well, should get a little less snow on it during the winter and should still be able to work pretty well properly. So let's have a look and see what the speeds are doing now that we are connected directly to the DC batteries for my solar. All right, let's just run a speed test, see what we're coming in at now. 180, 190, 200. So nothing wrong with that. So I'm pretty happy how this is set up here. So I'm going to remove this. We're going to permanently mount this and put it into my system here as well. And then we're going to run this cord back around and get it into somewhere permanent for the system to work properly. And then other than that, I would say things are going pretty good. So I'll do a test run with a generic network cable just to be able to get it to come across and to make sure that I can get my Schneider system to tie into this. And then I'm going to order the correct cable. So stand by for that and we'll get into that next. Okay, so now I'm going on to the Insight cloud and looks like it's fully connected almost right away without any issues. Looks like I can also access my other devices. So all in all, I'd say that's a success. This is my battery monitor on my Schneider system. So it's showing that I'm currently drawing 2.7 to 2.8 amps. And this is with the Starlink running right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to turn off the Starlink and then we'll see the difference in the draw. So now we're just going to disconnect the Starlink Okay, so now we're back down. I'm looking at minus 2.1 to 2.2 amps. So we're looking at about 0.7, maybe 0.8, depending on your math, for the draw of the Starlink. All right, let's go through a couple things that we've learned. So I had this thing running all night. One thing I did kind of figure out is that the dish takes a little bit of time to actually kind of find all the satellites that it wants. So when we first start this dish, and I have it in this kind of lower position, kind of slightly sheltered here, that some of the ping success drops down to into the 70s and 80s when it first starts up. But now I'm sitting at 99% ping success with about a 25% or 25 millisecond latency, which is like spot on. Speed tests are ranging upwards of 150 to 200 megs per second on the roaming package here, so that's working really well. So just to note that when you're doing testing, you need to let it sit there for a little while to actually gain some traction on what it's actually going to be picking up. I temporarily hardwired in this network jack into my Connex system, working perfectly. As soon as I plug it in, no problems at all. This thing draws, on an average, I looked last night, about 16 or 17 watts. Incredible for the full-time use of this thing on an off-grid situation. And knowledge is power when it comes to off-grid. If you can find out what your system is drawing and where, you can eliminate those unnecessary draws and keep your system down for the hardware that you need, for the amount of panels that you need, for the amount of generator time that's got to run. And the more you can keep track of that, the better your system is going to run altogether. As well, there is another feature in the app that you can run on to sleep mode. And what that'll do is you can program the dish to shut down. Difficulty is it doesn't shut down 100%, cuts the wattage by about another third to 30 to 40%. So that would come down to like close to a half an amp or less. Well, so in the middle of the night, you can set it for a schedule to turn off between midnight and 6 a.m. or whatever you want to choose to do, and that's going to save you some more power in the hours that it's not being used anyways. Highly recommended this one over the standard kit. Standard kit has to be wired in with 120. The draw is like 150 to 60 amps. With this thing running, 150 to 60 watts. With this thing only running that low amount of wattage on a regular basis, this is like the ultimate satellite communications internet system for off-grid cabins. And just like that, we have a full high-speed, low latency off-grid connected directly and optimized for a 24-volt off-grid system deep in the backcountry. No power anywhere, but we are operating at 150 to 200 megs per second without any issue. If that's not awesome, I have no idea what isn't. So super cool. It works really well. If you got any questions or comments and you want to leave them down below, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll see if I can get to them and help you out a little bit. If you got any other options or suggestions of how I've done things in there that might even help others out for shedding a few watts here and there, go ahead and let me know, and we'll take a look at it. Until then, see you in the next one. Cheers.